Hi, welcome to the show. This is the UK Meta Report, and I've been joined by James Ashall.
How we do?
Yeah, not too bad. How's your week been?
Yeah, not too bad. Been busy, seeing what's going on in the fab world.
Indeed.
Not finding out the gender of my baby, so all is good.
Surprise!
Surprise! You still don't know.
Yeah.
Wait till next week.
Buy yellow.
Yeah. Like, buy a white teddy, not a blue or a pink teddy.
Indeed.
So yeah, it's been good. So yeah, just looking forward to getting into Flesh and Blood now. Got my first RTN next week at Mana Screw, so looking forward to that.
All right, cool. So we're going to concentrate on the results for the UK Meta for the Road to National season. We have got the draft results that went on. We have got the Classic Constructed results. So we're going to start with Classic Constructed, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, 3 lots of tournaments for Classic Constructed this week. We had Kingdom Gaming in Northampton, we had Dice Saloon in Brighton, and we had Reroll Games in Ireland. Technically,
Amazing.
Ireland's not part of the UK, but we might as well include it anyway, because there's only a hop, skip and a jump. And
it's just across the pond, as they say.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, cool. Right, brilliant. So, we shall begin. Righty, okie dokie. So, Road to Nationals, the UK Meta Report for Classic Constructed Week 1. And we will bring you, more results as they come in. Okie dokie. So, I went to this one. I didn't participate. I rocked up round about round 3, saw Hamish in the car park and Jamie Faulkner, and we had a bit of a chinwag, and then I started collating all the results. So,
amazing.
This is the hero breakdown for Kingdom Gaming. 28 players. So, yeah, it's a bit weird with week 1 because nobody knows what the meta is going to be like. Dromai and Fi are out, but we don't know how significant they're going to be. By this breakdown, we can see that people are thinking that Fi isn't that significant for Classic Constructed anyway. But 6 Briar, 5 Dromai, 5 Oldim. So I know Kugani did a tier list the other day of what he thought was going to be Classic Constructed, the top heroes. Briar and Oldham was definitely there. He was on the fence with Dromai. But yeah, a good representation by all of them. We will show you what has happened when we go to the top 8. So
I'm definitely surprised at that one Prism though. Like, I expected to see more Prism, especially given how dominant it was last season.
Yeah, but I think basically people want to play with dragons, don't they?
Yeah, why not? It's dragons.
Yeah, exactly. This is we'll give it a go. Thing is, Dromai still feels like an illusionist at heart. You've got a board state. Whether or not it be Ashwings or you've got Spectral Shields, you've still got a board state, which is unlike any other character for Flesh and Blood the way it plays.
For sure, and I think with Dromai, especially in the testing that I've done, I've tested Viz into it quite well, and I've tested Oldtime into it, and that what's not been not so well. The Dragon board state, it can just get overwhelming so fast, and it's I feel you have to clear it and then go. With Viz, it works quite well because you can sort of hit a dragon, get all your on-hit effects, and you're still pinging rune chant, you'll hit it at the hero as well. So that feels like a really hard matchup for Dromai, but for me it's super fun because I'm getting all my on-hit effects like Moss Skies and everything like that, and I'm still generating and I'm still killing off a dragon, clearing a board, and still doing damage. So it feels super effective for Viz into Dromai. But yeah, it's definitely good, and the board states seem really threatening as well, how quickly they can build up dragons. Especially where you get the transform and the go again. It's transform, go again, attack, and then I'm going to do something else and attack with some more. And then things like Rake the Embers just seem to be so crucial. Yeah, feels like a really powerful card.
We did see a bit more of a fatigue game against Dromai. Francesco played that with Oldhim, and he managed to hold out and just basically stop Dromai until basically his opponent run out of red cards, and then it was just and then all he did was, instead of just attacking face now, because he was getting attacked by one Ashwing, he sat there and methodically hammered each Ashwing until there were no Ashwings and there was no attacks, and it was just right, now I'll apply pressure to your face, and it was just you know what I mean, for his opponent it was so depressing. You know, you just see his army totally dwindling. But Francesco played that really well. But top 8, 4 Dramai. So what's that? 5 went in. So 80% conversion into the top 8 for Dramai.
Pretty solid.
A bit bonkers. 2 Briar, 1 Oldham, 1 Viserai. So a good showing. Most of the London players contingent that came up were all playing Dromai. All the London contingent that were playing Dromai made it into the top 8.
That's pretty good showing then.
And they weren't, considering that they're pretty much in the same playtesting group, they weren't all playing the same deck. They took a slightly different, you know, spin on things. Maybe a couple of people had more burnaways. Maybe people were playing slightly more, you know, yellow rake the embers. It was literally like 1 or 2 cards. It wasn't a lot in it. But they all knew each other's decks, which was a bit crazy. So yeah, I recorded a mirror, so you can check that out on the channel. That was Jake Arms versus Jamie Faulkner. And you will see what the mirror match is like for Dramai. It's just literally they are just smashing dragons against each other to try and get that board state. Whoever's got the upper hand in board state will then be able to apply pressure to take life. But you thought that the Oldham mirror or some Oldham games were going to, you know, would go sort of like quite a long time. I know when Oldham came out, everyone was going to go, oh, it's all draws, you know, it's really bad. But you were looking at the Dromai mirrors just going, this game is never ending. You know what I mean? It was pretty crazy. And I know in the rounds, in the Swiss rounds, there was another mirror that I watched. Every time I walked past it, they were on like 30 health. And near the end of the game, they were still on sort of like mid 20 health. And then Dimitri, a player from Northampton, he just conceded. He just went, there's no point. You know, I don't want to draw. You know, so he just conceded to it. But you do wonder how the Dromai mirror will develop, because just smacking dragons against one another, it's a bit soul destroying.
Yeah, I watched the match that you've obviously posted up, and it definitely felt who drew Rake the Embers quicker is how I felt the match sort of played out. Because whoever could get more Aether Ashwings could sort of had the ability to ping off dragons, then they could use the bigger dragons to hit harder. Or it was like, oh, I'm just going to smash out big dragon, then use my Aether Wings to sort of attack and do stuff. And it's like, if you had 3 Aether Ashwings out, but then like your opponent only made 2, it's like you clear 2 but still have 1, and then your opponent could then make potentially another 3. So then it was like 4v2 on Ashwing, so he would clear 2, have 2 left. And it felt like that kind of state, but it was just board clearing every single time. Which is sort of how I think you need to play into Dramai as a whole, is clear the dragons and then go damaging. But I understand she can get out of hand quite quickly if you let the dragons build up too much.
Yeah, which I showed in the Mana Screw Armourers. I was just like, okay, I'll just take Dramai, let's play her. And it was just, every time I was just up on Ashwings, it was like, yeah, I'll take 5. Take 5 Ashwings. You got a popper? No? Okay, we'll carry on. Okay, so people are going to have to think about matches into Dromai, whether or not they're going to take more poppers like they did against Prism. But you can't let that. You can't let the dragons go. But we will talk about the interesting thing that I did see. That has been flagged up to judges. That essentially, when you invoke a dragon, it's only when you're playing a Marvel. I've seen this crop up. But essentially, when people were invoking a dragon, they would then get their Marvel out. They would put their Marvel into play, and then they would take their invoke card and put it in the discard pile. Essentially, that card has never hit the discard pile yet. And you don't think that will be a problem, but when you're playing Burn Away or Burn Them All, which takes red pitch cards out of the discard pile, you are essentially fueling your discard pile with the invoked dragons that are actually still in play. So people that are playing Dromai have to be really careful, and people that are playing against it, you really have to make sure and look where these dragons are going, because the Marvels, even though they look great, you know what I mean, the Marvels look amazing. The best thing to do is basically put the invoke card underneath the Marvel with the Ash token, or just take your invoked card and put it with your pile of Marvels, so when your Marvel gets killed, you can just switch it out. But putting it into your discard pile before it is legally allowed to be in there, you're going to get called by a judge. That's an illegal deck state, so be very careful. Road to Nationals, it's quite lenient, but if you don't nip this in the bud now, and you are playing the same way, when you go up competitively, someone is going to call this, and then you're going to be, muscle memory. You're going to get in trouble. I do think that this is coming through playing potentially on TTS, where you just kind of move the card away.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. Like, obviously, I don't know exactly what happened because I wasn't there, but just reading the card, it does say transform. It doesn't say sort of like transform and then move.
Yeah.
You've got to think of the Marvels as they're an alternate art, basically. So they are a more pristine artwork. You can obviously run them in the deck as they are. Like, if you were to think that the Marvel's in the deck as it is, instead of the normal card, you would just naturally transform it. So you're not shifting the dragon from the board into the graveyard. You are literally transforming it. And that's what you have to remember. Whether it be the Marvel card or just be the normal regular art card, it is never moving out of game state until it dies.
Yeah, exactly. Thing is, you're supposed to... there's a lot of flipping with these cards, because when you invoke it, you're supposed to take it out your sleeve, turn it around, put it back in, and put it into play.
Correct.
When it dies, you're supposed to take it out, flip it around to the invoke stage, and then put it back in your discard pile. So there's a lot of... there's a lot of finesse to actually playing them, and literally you're just like, that's dead. I've just put it in the discard pile, and he's just like, Right, okay. So Kingdom Gaming, that's the top 8. So
interesting.
I think I've got top 4. Let's click top 4. Boosh, top 4. Okay, there we go. So there we go.
3 Dramai out straight away.
Yeah. Well, we do with one's going to go with the Dramai mirror. Francesco took care of another one, and Aaron Breyer beat Jason Hamer's Dromai. The thing is, Breyer's pretty good because she's got a lot of on hits like snatch. She can just hit a dragon and get a snatch.
Get a draw, clear draw game. Yeah. That's what I'm saying with Viz. These on hit effects with like Viz, especially like the Moth Skies and Dread Triptychs, and I think there's a couple of others. I know Swarming Blue Veil is a hero hit, not an on hit effect. So that's something you've got to be sort of cautious of as well. That we had a discussion in my little friendship group is that when it says when this card hits, for example, Snatch, if it hits an ally, you will get that trigger. Yeah. If Snatch said if this hits a hero, when you hit an ally, you don't get that trigger. So that's something to be wary of as well with the new allies and stuff. But yeah, definitely these on-hit effects are really sort of detrimental to Dramai at the same time, because obviously you can't block the damage to a dragon. So things like these snatches, things like the Moth Skies triggers, and all of those, and every other thing that I can't think of at this moment in time, you're going to get that benefit immediately, and getting free cards and free damage and free beneficial triggers is just really, really good, however you look at it, because you don't really have to do anything for it, if that makes sense. Yeah. You're not having to worry about your opponent blocking, because they can't.
Indeed. So, building up your board state's great, but just be careful if someone's got on-hit effects that don't require a hero, you're going to come unstuck. But this is the advantages and disadvantages of a hero. And this is where the top players will know the difference, and know where to put their attacks in to get the most advantage. Okay, so there was a bit of kerfuffle in the top 4. Basically, the top 4 wasn't played. We were left with the final. Basically, people needed to go home. That's essentially what happened. People dropped out, and then the final was between Francesco playing Oldham and Hamish Chisholm Brown from Push the Point. He was on Viserai. I recorded that game, so you can watch that. That is really, really good. Hamish played Francesco in the heats in the Swiss. He lost really badly to Francesco in the heats, so he was desperate to play against him and redeem himself, he did. So spoiler, if you haven't watched it, Hamish won that match. It was a bit sticky. There was a bit of a sticky point right at the end, basically, where Creepers was used, and the time,
I saw that trigger.
Creepers.
Interesting interaction there.
Which Francesco was brilliant, because he talked through it at the end, which I've left that into the recording, and you can see basically where Francesco was coming from, and where he was saying that basically Hamish could have played that turn a little bit better, so he had no chance of trying to block what Hamish did.
So it was all done on, because Spellbound Creepers works as an instant. Basically, when Hamish attacked, he still had like a resource floating and 2 cards in hand, I believe it was. At the time. So once Francesco declared no blocks, Hamish should have reacted then during block phase.
Well, Francesco didn't actually declare no blocks. He skipped the blocking phase and went straight into the reaction. So we had a bit of a timing issue there, and I think that's where it came from. So yeah.
Because then Francesco used the defense reaction on Oldheim for when Hamish played Become the Arc Knight to basically move the card from his hand onto the top of his deck. But I think what Francesco was saying is like when it could have been played better if Hamish had done it in the blocking phase. But yeah, if you watch the video, Francesco just basically tries to do Sink Below immediately or Fate the Scene without sort of going through the no block step. So yeah, they had to rewind a bit, and then there was a bit of confusion on when it happened. But either way, it sort of ended up with Hamish winning in that particular.
But fantastic for Francesco to go through that step on where slightly timing where Hamish could have played a bit better. I mean, I'm not saying Hamish played it incorrectly at all because he won. You know what I mean? And it was very small margins that game. On where to go. Like some of the plays Hamish pulled out was just, I was sitting there just going, oh my god, that's just flipping brilliant. So yeah, I was super happy that Hamish won that. Really happy, and it meant so much to him as well because Hamish doesn't get to play a lot in of armories because he's got family, and it's just bad timing for him. So for a Road to Nationals and getting into the top 4, that secured his Road to National qualification. So he was already over the moon, and then to continue that ride just to get that couple more XP was really, really good. Really, really chuffed for him. And that was Kingdom Gaming. 28 players, Viserai won.
He's been off Viserai for a few seasons though, because he played like the last ProQuest season he played Chain, and then the one before that he started playing Starvo. So he hasn't really trusted Viserai for a while. Every event he goes to, he sees people playing Viserai and doing well with it. He's like, why don't I just bring it? It's like, just bring it, mate. So it's good to see him back on the home turf.
Yeah, but he took Viserai to top 8 for UK Nationals.
Yes, exactly.
But he only... Cat, please don't. Say hello, Cat. Well done. He only played Starvo because he basically they had a roll off at Boards and Swords. So they rolled off, wasn't it? and it was he played Starvo, but he dropped after 2 games because he couldn't stand playing it. So yeah, but Hamish has already has written an article for LSS about Viserai and the Rune Blades going into Road to National. So if you haven't read that, that is an amazing read. And then topped off by Hamish's win, sort of like solidifies everything he was talking about. So yeah, I'm really chuffed for Hamish. Yeah, really well played. Righty, so let's move on. That was Saturday. That was Saturday the 2nd. So now we're going into Dice Saloon. So this was in Brighton, Dice Saloon in Brighton. So 27 players took part. So we're looking at down south again. You said that there was no Prism, so we've got more Prism because we are going to the south of England to Prism territory. I don't know if the London contingent they went down there, but I'm not sure if they were on Dromai or some switched to Prism. So 5 Dromai, 5 Prism, 3 Briar, 3 Dash, 3 Viserai, and then we've got
real big spectrum, 3 Dash as well, and Katsu.
Yeah. So that was really good. Completely different breakdown to Kingdom Gaming, but like I said, this is only sort of like the next day into the new meta. They only
Can I just say, no more Starvo. No more Starvo. It's gone.
Yeah, but you might be saying that about Dromai by the end of RTN.
No, I don't mind Dromai so much. It doesn't feel too oppressive.
Yeah, you say that now. Right, okay. Okie dokie. Right, so top 8. Where's all the Dromai gone? We have not got the conversion that we did have in Kingdom Gaming. So 2 Prism, 2 Viserai, a Dash, a Dromai, a Katsu, and a Lexi. So
I like this split as well because it's actually really open. It's not like all the Dromai and all the Prism one or all the Oldheim one or whatever. There's actually no Oldheim made the top 8 here, and I think there was 3 that went to this. If I just remember correct from the last one.
Yeah, I can't go back. So
that's fine. That's not a problem. I think it was 3, but it's a nice diversity, which I think a lot of people wanted from this meta, rather than just Starvo Prism.
Yeah, but this is this is because people don't know how it's got to settle down, isn't it? Until we get those lists that have come through. Like before ProQuest, we had that chap in America that smashed it with a Starvo, and then everybody there was a deck tech that Tariq pulled, played, and everyone just went, oh, this is a Starvo that's got to be done. There's not really been any big games for Dromai or anybody that's coming out. So so this was the top 8. I might have the top 4. Top 4. There we go. We've got Rainbow again. So Dash, Dromai, Lexi, and Prism. Okay. So really, really good. Really a meta that you really want to get your teeth into. Just be good with a hero. Be good with a hero.
I think my money's on Lexi here, maybe. Depending on what the Lexi build was.
Okay, right. So the final was between Dash and Dromai. Okay, so Dash and Dromai. So that's quite cool. So I don't know what the Dash deck had. Maybe it had induction chambers to try and get a couple more shots to kill off those dragons. But if the Dromai player would be great. If Dromai gets Kyloria out, Dash is in a whole heap of trouble because he's just like she's going to lose her equipment all over the place. Right. So the winner of this is Giang Nguyen. I hope I haven't said your name wrong. I probably have.
I think I know him. I've played against him a couple of times. Really lovely fella. Really nice fella.
So he was playing Dromai. So Dromai won that one. So we have the first Queen of Dragons. She's won down in Brighton. So well done there, Giang. And thanks to Miss Warden for providing all the information for this one. Because I was hitting Discord just going, please. Tell me what's going on.
Feed me information, please.
Otherwise, we wouldn't really have a programme. So right, okay. So on to reroll games. Now I wasn't going to include Ireland, but there was a guy, Evil GM. He was in Discord and he was feeding information. And I was just like, oh my god, brilliant! I'll have it. Why not include Ireland? So reroll games. Just northwest of Dublin, in Navan. That had 15 players. 15 players took part. So looks like it's Briar territory, really. But yeah, it's we see a Dash. We've got an Azalea. So
which Nathan's going to be happy about.
yeah. So look at this: 4 Ranger players in Ireland.
Crazy.
So
Crazy.
So right, let's see top 8.
Does Azalea make top 8? It does! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah, so
you remember Nathan, like you had him at Mana Street, don't you? Yeah. And he's been on Azalea since the dawn of time.
Yeah. I know, awesome. As soon as I saw the top 8, I was like, yeah, props. And I've sat next to Nathan playing his Azalea when he's gone off, and I've looked at his opponent, and they're just shaking their head, going, "How's that happen?"
Yeah, what's going on here? Why is Red in the Legend being brought back 6 times?
Yeah, bonkers. But so there we go. So 1 Dash, 2 Bolton, 2 Briar, 2 Lexi, 1 Azalea. So Bolton was very good. We haven't seen really Bolton in a while. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Maybe he was using trade-ins. I don't know. So
I wonder if it's the combo Bolton that was going around in ProQuest season. So that combo Bolton that we saw in the Pro Tour as well.
Yeah.
I like a really strong list.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen any lists from this. Getting lists. I'm hoping that some lists were handed into LSS, and then basically they'll print it on their winning thing where you can click and have a look. Okay, so
now, does Azalea make top 4?
I'm not sure if I had a top 4. I don't. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. So top 4. Have we got it? No, we haven't. Okay.
Right. We need to find out.
We've gone straight to the map. I can tell you who was in the final though. Okay. So the final was Briar versus Dash. So Dash is doing really good. So Dash has made 2 finals now. That was won by Briar. Ian Holland was the chap who won that. So well done, Ian, with Briar. And you can see by the UK meta map, where the stores were and what heroes won. So there we go. Over in Ireland, we've got Briar by Ian. Hamish with Viserai in Northampton, and Giang with Dromai down in Brighton. So well done to all. Next Saturday and Sunday, week 2 for Classic Constructed is only Mana Screw. Okay, So if you're on the classic constructed train, Manascrew's the place to be. I will be there. I'll be streaming it with Alan from Tabletop 24. So tune into Tabletop 24. If you haven't subbed Alan yet, go sub, because he puts a little reminder of when basically things go live. He spreads it around on the Discord and in Facebook as well, but it'll be worth a watch. We'll be doing our usual, where you'll be hearing the players when they play, and then I'll be doing interviews and having a bit of a chinwag afterwards. So that is next week, the 10th of July even, on the Sunday.
Indeed.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So that was that. Let's go back to the Uprising one, and we shall tee in the draft. So the draft is really interesting. We have.
I did one weekend with my local group, Darren Ramsey, very much near me, and we had a 6-man draft. I drafted 5, went 3-0, which was very lovely. Helps towards those XP that I need to try and make nationals myself if I don't make a top 4. But it was. It was good. Rob Emery, who obviously is he makes the PTQ circuit, and he makes the Road to National circuit as well. He drafted Icelander. It was his first Uprising draft. He'd never experienced draft before.
Yeah.
He unfortunately went 0-3, but he said it was really fun. Definitely learnt a lot from doing the draft as well. So I think when people draft the first time, it's a real experience, because it's sort of quite overwhelming, but once you've got that first draft out of the way, you get a really good understanding of where you need to go with it.
Hopefully some of these results will show people kind of like, the different outcomes of pods. Really, there were, in the Swiss rounds for the Road to Nationals, there's supposed to be 2 lots of drafts and then basically into a top 8 draft. So it basically depends on how many players there are. That's basically the gist that I've got out of it anyway. So let's go on to draft. There has been draft camps. Draft camp has been done by Matt Light.
Yes,
that happened the week it came out. The week of the release of Uprising, they had their draft camp. Oh, let's go back to Rob Emery in a minute. Okay,
yes.
And this draft. Rob Emery has just started recording games. Okay, so you can catch him on YouTube as Cardboard Swords, and he's got his draft matches. I watched one today. So give him a sub. He's now recording in the Peterborough meta that's now growing, which is just down the road from us. So well done, Rob. And if you need any help, you know where I am. All right. Right. So let's go to the draft.
Which draft match did you watch? Because there was 2 that you filmed.
I watched you. I watched you versus Rob. Now you've just said that Rob went 0-3. No spoiler what happens in that one.
He was completely overwhelmed. He was just like, I absolutely got spanked. I was like, well, yeah. I was in a fortunate position because I actually flipped in that. So I started drafting 5 for like my first 2 picks, and then Icelander was really open. So I picked the next 4 picks. I went Icelander. And then it completely dried up. So I was like, okay, I've got to switch back to Phi now, because I can't really hedge into Dramai, because it wasn't that great. So I then went Phi heavily after. And luckily, the cards just kept flowing around. I think I ended up with about 11 or 12 0 costs. All red pitch with Go Again. I was like, this is just insane. So I had a really good draft.
Is that where you think nobody else is on Phi?
Yeah. There was 3 Icelanders, like 3 people trying to draft Icelanders, 2 1 Dramai and 2 Phi. But yeah, it was a 6-man pod, so obviously you're going to get a bit more beneficial with the picks. But yeah, it was very, very, very bizarre.
Nice. Right. Okay. So first off, we are going to Just Play in Merseyside. Their draft was on Saturday the 2nd. So thank you to Matt W, as I was on Discord. He was running the games at the shop. He was feeding me as much information as he could, but the guy was really busy. He had multiple tournaments going on. So big shout out to Matt. Thank you so much for all the information you gave me, and thank you to Defunks for topping that information up. So yeah, brilliant. Right, so let's see. So this is, I only managed to get the first Swiss pod. So there was 2 Swiss pods, and they were super busy. So any information that they could give me, I am super happy with. Okay,
yeah, thank you very much, guys.
What did I have? 20 players. So they had 2 pods. Doesn't quite work out. It's a bit more than that, isn't it? So 4, 16. Yeah, it's 20. 20 players. So 2 pods of 8 and a pod of 4. This is what they did in the first draft. So considering
very evenly spread.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many packs basically the pod 3 had, and what were their reasoning to go no Icelander. I don't know. Yeah, give him 5.
There would have been some heavy signals in that third pod for one person just to absolutely pick up all the Icelander.
Yeah, indeed. So I think people are still really punching for Fi in draft. It seems to be like Fi did extremely well in the sealed, and he seems like he's a pretty good pump in draft.
It's the cheap go again from it, like all the 0 cost go agains, and then like you just need a couple of blues or a couple of yellows just to you don't even need blues in the deck. That's the thing. Like the yellows work perfectly fine because your sword's 2 cost. You basically get, once you've played 3 chain links, you get a Phoenix Flame back, or 3 Draconic chain links, sorry, you get a Phoenix Flame back, so you're then doing an extra. It's just a very easy, cheap, everything has go again. So I can understand why people favour that quite heavily. Not because it's easy to pilot, but it's very easy to put out a lot of damage very fast.
He still seems to do okay when there's a lot of people actually drafting him as well. Even when there's been, even like we saw in sort of like some of the sealed, when 4 players have drafted Fi, he has still done well. Whereas if you get too many Dromais, she kind of she doesn't tick. She hasn't got the dragons. She hasn't got the generation. Like Rake the Embers that we were saying, the sweeping blows, the billowing mirages, the dust ups, stuff to fuel your Ash, stuff to transform your Ash. She really needs that to get going, whereas Fi basically just needs an attack with go again, and he's golden.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like your yellow pitch, and your sword gets an automatic go again if it's a second draconic chain link. So it's like 3 go again, and then you can then fetch a Phoenix Flame back for 1 mana. Or 1 resource, sorry. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways to make Fi work. It's not just one way works, and that's the only way it works. There's definitely lots of angles you can go with it.
But with Icelander, maybe people are a little bit hesitant to go for it because if they don't see the blues early, then they're just like, am I, what am I doing? I need a blue that I'm going to Arsenal, and I'm going to play in your turn. It's just getting the reps in with Icelander. As soon as you can get some reps in with her, and you're doing draft, you will know those key cards to look for, and then we might see her do a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
Saying that, okay. So this was Swiss draft 1. I haven't got Swift draft 2, so we'll go to the top 8. I'm trying to keep the cat away. So this was a top 8 draft: 2 Icelander, 2 Dromai, and 4 Fi. So people really went for Fi on this one. Whether or not there was a lot of Fi players that basically got through, but with 2 drafts that actually went on, it's a bit difficult to go. I drafted Fi twice and I did okay, so I'm going to stick with Fi because I'm in the top 8. I don't know what players drafted what. I don't have that information. That would have been a bit too much to actually for someone to claim and give to me. But yeah, okay. So the final was a Fi mirror match. So even though there was 4 Fi duking it out in the top 8, there's the cat, there was a Fi mirror match, and that was won by David Dyson. So congratulations, David, well done. He is a old guard Fab player from when it first started, when we were all playing on the internet and Discord using TTS. David Dyson was there from the beginning, so super happy that you won that. Well done, mate. So that was that. Fi in Merseyside. So let's go on to Underworld Games. Cat's destroying the place. So Underworld Games. So that's in Nottingham, so not too far away. The melting pot of the Midlands. Swiss Draft 1. So this had Matt Light was there. And a few others that went to the Matt Light drafting clinic or drafting school, whatever you want to call it.
Was there.
Yeah, so some really good drafting players with quite a lot of experience, because I know that draft camp, they drafted 8 boxes. It was either 8 or 9 boxes that they went through. So they've got massive amount of experience. 30 players for this one, so a massive turnout. People really wanting to get their teeth into draft. It's going to be a big part of Nationals.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to it. It's super fun, actually. Like, I really like it. It's not just CC they've introduced. It's like you've got the option of playing limited, or you've got the option of playing CC. I really like the limited format, and I wanted to go to this personally, but unfortunately work fell badly, so I wasn't able to make it. But I personally really enjoy limited. I naturally think I'm a better limited player than I'm a constructed player, so I can't get to a draft this time. But hopefully next time they do one, it will be about. So I'm looking forward to the next time if they do this kind of style again.
Yeah, it is interesting. You know, you'd have thought that a lot of players would have gone with constructed, but maybe people are, you know, they need the practice for draft, and maybe they're on a little bit of a constructed burnout, and draft is a really good fresh, you know, chance to play Fab. So right, so this is the first one. So not many Dromides were drafted, a heck of a lot of Phis, and a pretty good number of Islanders, which kind of like
picking it up.
Kind of like shows me that you know, there is a massive load of experience here that we said about, you know, and you kind of see that Dromide's dropped off because they know that you can't go heavily if you're not seeing the dragons. There's no point. You know, safe-ish to go Phi. You can do quite well, but you need to know the key cards for Icelander, you know, and get rocking on it. So yeah, I don't know which player, you know, went what. But,
no, I don't know who drafted who, but from what I heard from the draft camp that was done, they basically, the information that came out of that was that every hero won equally. So when they pulled all the stats together, there wasn't one clear or dominant hero, which I think is actually really great to hear, because it means like you're not just going, I've got to go Phi because it's the hero that just wins everything.
Yeah.
The fact that after all of that testing they did, that everything came out relatively evenly, that sings like great news to me, because then whatever I choose to draft, I don't feel I'm having a bad draft, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but then the more skillful players should come in. If the characters are all, if it's quite a, you know, a nice balance between the set and this, you know, from what you've heard from the draft camp, basically, you know what I mean, it is a really nice draft. Whereas you could have said from the beginning when you looked at Tails that people were drafting Briar, and it took a while for people to work out that Alden was actually all right, but you had to kind of like know how to play him, and there were certain cards you needed. This it seems like it's like straight out the set. Yes, there are 2 draconic characters and 1 ice, but it seems to be you know, there seems to be a balance. So for Sus draft 1, there were 7 Dromai, 13 Phi, and 10 Icelander drafted. I did a bit of quick math there, so
fantastic.
So people don't have to. So we'll move on to draft pod 2. Boink. There we go. Draft pod 2. So a little bit different. Phi's got slightly less, but only slightly. So quick math for everyone, so you don't have to add it up. 9 Dromai, 12 Phi, and 9 Icelander were drafted on this one. So it's probably a slightly different mix in packs, and you've got slightly, you know, only a small variation. You know, 1 less Phi, 1 less Icelander, 2 more Dromai. So these packs are probably showing a few more dragons, especially with the pods that are doing 3 Dromai. You know, it's probably a dragon heavy, you know, packs they're pulling. So yeah, it kind of like, you really have to look at your first pack or second pack or third and just go, how many dragon cards potentially were there? How many ice cards were there? You know, you need to learn the layout. I did have a thing to say what order the cards are in, so you could go, right, you know, this should be the rare slot, this should be the the armor slots. You could, you know, okay, people shuffle it up, but if you can look through your deck and then just go, okay, there's a rare missing. There's, you know, no, I would expect to see more ice cards. There might be a couple of ice players to my left, or, you know, whatever. You know, this is what the seasoned players are doing. They're looking at the cards that are gone. They know the layout of a deck. You know, they've opened the decks up and they've recorded what they should be seeing in those. What is it, 14 cards?
14, I believe. Yeah, because you take the back 2 out, don't you?
Yeah, so you'd be going, right. Okay, I know the variation. You know, so you just.
And I think the thing is, like, your first 4 picks are almost defining your draft, especially in this format. I found like if you've not made a solid decision by pick 4 or pick 5, you could struggle. Like, because I don't think you can pivot in this as easy as you could in like Tails or Monarch, for example.
But this is what Rob Catton said as well, and looking around the room on the sealed at Living Realms, every player was locked in by turn 4.
Yeah,
you know, it was just like, you know, and that was pretty quick, you know. So, but yeah, okay, right. So that was Swiss Draft 2, slightly more Dramai than Fi and Icelander from the round before. There we go. So top 8.
Oh, so it's not so much Fi this time.
No, it's just like, wow, okay, what happened to
really
Fi?
Different.
When you just think Fi, you just like, when you're looking at the previous rounds where there was, you know, when you were looking at Just Play, 4 Fi were drafted in that top 8. Only 2 were drafted here. You know what I mean, whether or not that's the packs, or whether or not that's how experienced the drafters are, that they can look at those cards in the, you know, initial, you know, 4 decks, 4 hands that have come round from that first pack, that they go, right, you know, I've got a feeling here that you know, Icelander or Dramai I might be on, you know, and I might do well.
Well, I think pack quality is always going to be a variance, isn't it? Because you might open a Phoenix Orb and you're like, wow, bomb Fi pick. You could open the next pack and you could get like Combustion Point, like bomb, great Fi pick. And it's like, if you're getting that in one draft, but then your next draft you're just seeing absolute mediocre stuff, yeah, it's going to have a massive effect on how well your deck is built or how well it's constructed, or where you're going to go in the draft. So there will always be that variance in it. But like we said, from what I heard from Draft Camp, that variance over a period of however many drafts they did was sort of fairly even, which is good to hear. So you will see more variance across different drafts.
And this had the Draft Camp people playing, so maybe this top 8 is a reflection of that.
Yeah, potentially.
I don't know who was in the top 8.
No, I don't, unfortunately, either. Right,
so, but I do know who won, and I do know who was in the final. So the final was between Jacob Hand on Fi and Matt Light on Icelander.
So 2 people from Draft Camp, yeah?
Yeah, I think I don't know if Jacob went, but I know Matt did.
Yeah.
As he was running it. But the last time these guys played each other, so the last time these guys played each other that I know in a bigger competition was ProQuest in Living Realms. So Matt Light was on Prism and Jacob was on Starvo, and Matt Light took that one. So
so Jacob was looking for some revenge here.
It was kings to Matt Light on that day. So the winner of Underworld Draft was Jacob Hand on Fi. So well done, Jacob.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he's doing really well. Through ProQuest, he was getting into finals and he wasn't producing the goods in the final. Now he's getting into finals and he's winning them. So yeah, he's on the up. So yeah, he's doing really good. So kings to Jacob for that one. So well done, Jacob. There's a really good picture that was posted on Discord of him holding his cold foil Icelander.
So, I've not seen that.
It made me chuckle. Right, so that's the two that we had this weekend. So let's look at the draft meta map. Boosh, there we go.
Boom. There's a lot of fire.
There's a lot of fire going on. So
to be expected, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, but I think at the minute we're going to see a lot of Fi winning. By the end of week 4, I would assume that we will not get Fis and we will see other heroes. But that's only going on what happened in Tails, where Briar was kicking ass on draft, and then by the end of draft, it was Oldhim. Whether or not one of the other two, Icelander getting into the final, amazing. You really got to know what you're doing, especially against Fi. Whether or not Matt had loads of ways to generate frostbites to really sort of like, you know, really hurt Dramai and the Fi, because I think Dramai has a really good matchup into Icelander generally. He's not really too fussed about a couple of frostbites, but yeah, big up to Matt and Jacob for doing that one. Okie dokie. So that is it. That is the UK meta draft. Where is draft next week? So on the 9th of July, we have Geek Retreat Southampton. Okay, so Southampton's all the way down here in the map. So who's going to be there?
It's a long trek.
Yeah,
long trek for Midland people.
Yeah, Trinity Card Capital, Tyne and Weir. So it's around here somewhere.
Up there.
It's up there somewhere. We are going to have another draft. That's on the 10th. Sorry, that's on the Sunday. So. Whether or not people want to travel from Southampton all the way to Tyne and Weir.
I was going to say, imagine if you do that journey.
Yeah, there are some players that will probably, could probably do it, but Jesus Christ, petrol prices might stop a few. Okay, and then, another draft on the 9th, on the Saturday, Underworld Gaming, in Ireland. Now, it says D, so I'm assuming that that's Dublin. Okay, so we will have one over here. So the people that went to the Classic Constructed last week in Reroll Games, we might see a few of those players hit it in Dublin. Whether or not Ian Holland can do a double and win Classic Constructed and win a draft, we shall see, won't we? Because hopefully I'll have all that information for you next week. I'm at Mana Screw for the Classic Constructed, and I will be on Discord trying to get as much information as possible. If you know results, if you know pod breakdowns, if you know top 8s, just find me on Discord, Baz the Bard. You'll see me, you'll see the logo, ping me a DM and give me the information so me and James can sort of like wrap it up and do another wrap up. So we can have sort of like, the Weather Channel, the UK Meta Report, showing you what's hot, what heroes are hot in the world of draft and Classic Constructed for this Uprising meta. Okay,
we'll have to get this on a green screen, Barry, if we're doing a weather report, and you can have your little stick, click it along.
Yeah, maybe I should get a little. I should have a magnetic board and I can throw them at the chat, try and hit it.
Get that done.
My girls would love that. Like, Dad, can we play that game?
That'd be a great little thing to do.
All right, so thank you all for watching. Stay tuned next week. I have got Mana Screw Armory show. That will be coming out. And then, like I said, I'm at Mana Screw on Saturday. James, where are you this week?
I'm with you at Mana Screw.
Cool, brilliant. Okie dokie. We might see you on Rob's videos for cardboard swords. All right, nice.
Depends how good or bad I do, I guess.
Doesn't matter, mate. It's just a game. So, thanks for watching. You all take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, yo.